Hello and welcome to Explore to Know More, hands-on vocabulary exploration of Saltillo's NovaChat and TouchChat app. My name is Heather Pronovo. I'm a speech-language pathologist and an AT consultant for Saltillo. Over the next hour, we are going to be discussing some of the files that are included in the NovaChat and TouchChat platforms. We have over 20 vocabulary files available across those platforms. Today, we'll focus on just a couple of them. For each of them, we will explore who developed them, for whom or why was it developed, and how it's organized. And then, since we retain more information when we actually get to see things in action, we'll do some live demonstration of those files. We'll finish up with discussing a few ways to adapt vocabulary to meet your client's individual needs. While we may touch base on these, this is not the primary focus of this particular training. We're happy to discuss other vocabulary files as there are many options for them, but just know that we're going to focus on just a few of them in detail today. If you want to know more about any of our editing, customization, implementation, or other files, please join our online webinars. There are live ones presented regularly, as well as recorded ones that you can watch on your own time. Reach out to your Saltillo consultants to get more information, and check out the support articles that discuss these things on our Saltillo website. As consultants, we are regularly asked, how do I know which vocabulary file to use with my student? There really is no simple formula when we're trying to make that decision. And so, even though we would love to have X device with Y vocabulary file just needs this many Z modifications will make it perfect for my client, that does not exist. And although we would love to be able to provide you with a quick and easy answer of which vocabulary file to use, just like we can't put our clients into boxes, we cannot easily put our vocabulary files into boxes either. What we can give you, however, are the tools you need to make this clinical decision. The ultimate goal of Aac Intervention is not to find a technological solution to communication problems, but to enable individuals to efficiently and effectively engage in a variety of interactions and participate in activities of their choice. This is a great quote from Brueggemann and Miranda that just reminds us that the technology is not the only piece to communication in Aac. Aac service delivery involves such a close relationship between the assessment and intervention that at no particular point does one end and the other begin. Assessment needs to be ongoing. Lloyd, Quist, and Winzo in 1990 advised 4 components to look at: the Aac user, the communication partners, the communication environments, and the Aac system. They are integrally related and they exert change on one another. Another important component is the influence of the passage of time, as well as the messages and the communicative functions that the individual needs to be able to communicate effectively. So, what are we going to focus on today is one part of the Aac system, and that is the vocabulary file. A vocabulary file is a set of words organized in a specific way, developed by a specialist in the Aac field. It essentially is someone's language. Saltillo offers a wide range of vocabulary files in order to meet the diverse needs of our clients. The NovaChat offers over 20 different vocabulary files. The TouchChat application, given the various in-app purchases, could have almost 30 different vocabulary files. We appreciate that this can appear really overwhelming. The chart on the screen represents an attempt to organize the different vocabulary files according to the primary methods of language organization that that file uses. However, all of the files have elements of the others. You'll notice that there's lots of overlap between the two platforms. So today we're going to be discussing 3 or 4 of the files available on both platforms. Given the pediatric population with whom you work, we have selected to explore 4 vocabulary files across the platforms. One is a combination file, MultiChat 15, and then we'll look at 3 word power files. These are the same vocabulary files, however, they carry different names depending upon the platform. I'm going to cover the first 4 bullet points from considering the vocabulary file for you to be considering the 4 vocabulary files that we're going to look at. This information is on page 1 of the handout entitled Vocabulary Descriptions. Edgar Dale, a professor at Ohio State University in the 60s, developed a cone of experience in which he concluded learners retain more of what they do as opposed to what they hear, read, or observe. So we'll show the vocabulary file, we'll tell you a little bit about it, but really we want you to focus today on having you navigate and explore the vocabulary yourself, providing that doing. So if you have a device available while you're here for the training, follow along with us. We're going to be discussing who developed each of these files, why it was developed, how many buttons are there, how it's organized, and looking at this on your vocabulary descriptions handout. There are guided questions and practice sentences on the pages 2 and 3 of your handout that will facilitate exploration of each of the vocabulary files. We want to be looking at, with your clients in mind, what are the advantages of this file? What are the limitations of the file? And are those okay for your client? How efficient will it be for them? What is the growth potential for the vocabulary file over the next few years? What communicative functions would it provide for your client? Are there things that could be modified to make it more successful? It's very important that you're always keeping your client in mind when you're thinking about the vocabulary file. We'll be using the 2 handouts entitled Exploring the Vocabulary as well during the session. Let's start out with MultiChat 15. MultiChat 15 was developed by Elisa Barholm, an assistive technology consultant. It was developed for a population of clients who would benefit from phrase-based message formulation and more context-specific vocabulary. The original file was the student age file, so that is what we will primarily review. The adolescent and adult file were developed later to reflect language that is important to each of these populations. For example, the adult file has an emergency page and more adult-appropriate vocabulary. The primary changes will be noted in the bottom row of the content-specific vocabulary. There are 15 buttons per page, except the keyboard and visual scene pages. I'm going to switch over to my document camera to show you MultiChat 15 in action. With MultiChat 15 Student, we have the carrier phrases available to quickly and easily formulate our messages. If I select I want, I have choices that would make sense to complete my sentence. So I go to play. I know I have options of things I want to play.
Rebels.
And once I've selected the activity that I want to play, now I have comments and phrases available to continue the conversation in the activity.
I want to play Bubbles Get It.
In MultiChat 15, you'll notice the top row has pages of categories, question words, people, actions, describers, and things. The chat button takes us to a page of conversational phrases, questions, information about me, comments.
Let me tell you what I think.
And more comments, like telling you stop and more, and some fun jokes. Other things that we were able to discuss on MultiChat 15, I can tell you I need, and maybe I need a break. And we can start working on negation. I want or I don't want. This will lead to the same selections available.
To wear pants.
The navigational buttons will always stay to the right side for ease of access. When we look at our options for the different MultiChat files, that was the MultiChat 15 student. We also have the adolescent version. You'll notice the top two rows stay the same. We've now added some information for time and date. Core words in school still are available, but we also have work-related and shopping-related vocabulary. When I go into my selection, the activities have become more age-appropriate, so I can talk about wanting to cook, wanting to go somewhere, wanting to talk to somebody. When they are starting to work on job-related skills, we have phrases and messages that are appropriate for that situation, as well as when I go shopping. When we look at the MultiChat 15 adult file, you'll notice again we have similar buttons here. The bottom row is where we notice our changes. We now have phone-related vocabulary. We have our work. We also have chores, things I need to talk about around the house. And we still have shopping. In my chat, I now have some more age-appropriate comments, like explaining that I use this to talk.
Let me tell you what I think.
And we're able to start using some more adult-appropriate commenting. And so we'll switch back over to the slides. Over the years, when the requests for the adolescent and adult file continued to be requested, we made smaller changes to reflect those language development and changes for those populations. The main page, as we noticed, just changed there. The action words linked to the logical next words update to be more age appropriate. More different cuisine is available, and more activity-based pages that are age appropriate. And the things that were changed with the adult file, again, we added those telephone, work, chores, and shopping. There's adult drinks, adult cuisine, adult contents, and intimacy type vocabulary available. Along the bottom row, with those 5 buttons on the MultiChat 15 student file, you'll notice we have a keyboard, we have a page for core words, we have those school-related words, news, and my scenes. So if there is a need for visual scenes, there are 9 default visual scenes available that are fully customizable, as well as being able to create new scenes. There's also a My News button. It navigates to 3 different pages, home and school, and the news to you vocabulary for the curriculum. And so you're able to do some interaction of sharing news between home and school. If I want to share home news, it brings me to a page with some sentence starters, as well as a spot to record a message from home, and then the ability to play a message back from home. So the recorded message would then be able to be played. The core words page gives an introduction into core vocabulary. It does have more than 15 buttons per page to have access to some more core vocabulary and start to introduce that into the day. So what is core vocabulary? Core vocabulary are messages and words that are frequently used by many individuals across many contexts. This vocabulary typically consists of functor words such as is, was, he, she, common nouns, etc., pronouns, and verbs. (250 to 400 words make up about 75 to 85% of the words that we say each day. They're reusable across contexts, and they're developmentally appropriate. They are the same across gender, age, topic, setting, and disability. We can use these for a variety of situations, and they're pragmatically appropriate. They're not just wants and needs. Why would we use and teach core? Sentences and phrases allow for speed in the communication process and should be part of any AAC vocabulary set. However, with core, it allows for the flexibility of novel generation of sentences. Being that it's useful across contexts, we can use the same words in a variety of different ways. They can be combined to increase semantic and syntactic complexity, that natural language development. It allows expression of a variety of communicative functions. They allow for consistent location of vocabulary across the pages, and they overlap with academic core vocabulary and literacy, including sight words. And the fact that we're able to support literacy for our young AAC users is a great thing. So the next vocabulary files that we're going to look at are the Word Power Vocabulary Suite. They were developed by Nancy Ingman, a speech-language pathologist. She developed it as a core word-based vocabulary system designed to be intuitive and easy to use. It takes advantage of the fact that a core of 100 words accounts for approximately 50% of words spoken in the English language. The predictive nature of the system allows for generation of novel information with minimal keystrokes. It also includes spelling. It's expanded over time and offers options for a wide range of ability levels. There are many configurations to word power, and the different versions have been designed for individuals that use direct selection and scanning. So for example, we have our, sorry, as my slides click through, here we go. We have word power 20 all the way up to word power 140. And as you see, the configurations add more buttons and more vocabulary per page. When we're thinking about how many buttons, it's important to keep in mind that fewer buttons may actually be more difficult. Let's take a look. Does anyone have a flip phone with them or still use a flip phone? When we talk about the number of buttons on the screen, people often say to me, I want as few buttons as possible as I'm introducing a vocabulary file to a child. With AAC in general, there's this idea that fewer buttons is easier for them. But both Saltillo and PRC know that this is generally not the case. Let's take a look at these two phones and think about texting. On the flip phone, we only have 9 buttons. Easy, right? It should be quicker and faster to learn and text our messages to our friends. On the smartphone, we have a full keyboard, 26 buttons. If our thinking holds, then it should be much easier to text on the smartphone, right? What makes the full keyboard easier that we have all of the letters visible and accessible? So we need to make sure this happens as much as possible for our AAC users. Consider this along with the client's motor and visual abilities. If they're able to visually see more buttons and smaller buttons on a page and access it with their either direct select or scanning, then let's give them more words available to start. We can start high and simplify instead of going low and trying to grow their vocabulary. Let's dive into how it was developed. On the screen, you'll see word power 60. All the word power files have a color coding system to help with dividing up the screen and accessing the words. Yellow is going to be people or pronouns like I, you, and it. They'll be located to the left of the screen for ease of access. When I press a pronoun, I can also go to the people's page and get more pronouns available on that page. Next, we have green, which is action words or verbs like do, go, and eat. I also have an actions page that will take me to a variety of more action words available. Next, we have blue for prepositions or those position words like on, out, and in. On many of the word power files, there's an extra words page that will take us to more position or preposition words, as well as being able to negate with that red color coding for those negative words. Next, we have the describers. Those are pink. Those are going to be adjectives and adverbs. When I go to that page, you'll see a combination of opposites, so happy, sad, there's feeling words. We have big and little grouped together, hot and cold, etc. There's a questions page, which includes a variety of question words that you're able to use. The social page has comments and conversation starters, as well as personal information. The 8 buttons at the top with all caps organize specific classes of vocabulary and don't have voice output. They're typically located across the top row and or down the right side of the page, depending upon how many numbers of buttons per page in the file. We already reviewed several of these while considering how core was represented, but you'll also find ABC123, which is the keyboard page, places, time, and groups. The keyboard has the word finder button on it as well. As a reminder of how it works, you search the word, select find word, and then the picture pathway for that word will appear in the speech display bar on the right. So you're able to type out the word, hit find word, and you'll see it displayed across there. The groups page, when I click on it, gives me a variety of nouns organized into categories. So I have lots of different labels for things. Time is a page with a variety of time-related vocabulary words, including days, months, time of day, and words to describe when things happened. The places page offers a variety of words, including community words, home-related places, outside places, school places, and sport-related places. You'll also notice on this page that color coding is used to divide things and organize them so that they're easily visual on the page. There are other things that are important to keep in mind about word power that you'll notice as we go throughout the vocabulary. It's predictive in nature, in which logical next words may appear to facilitate efficiency and increase message generation. By pressing my, I get a variety of different words available to me, like myself, my favorite, my turn, mine, to be able to quickly make a message and not have to navigate away from that page. The consistent word placement helps increase motor automaticity. The alphabetical organization also helps with finding words as we go. When I press I, the logical next words appear, including a variety of verbs that would make sense next in my sentence. When I go to groups, I have that alphabetic organization, appliances, art, and so forth. If I go to jobs, again, my job-related vocabulary is organized in alphabetic order. Smart punctuation reads the sentence, returns you to home, and clears the speech display bar when you start a new sentence. So when I'm creating a message, I can add that punctuation in to notify the system that that's the end of my sentence, and it will read the sentence in full. So let's take a look at a couple of the different word power vocabulary files. I'm going to switch back over to my document camera. And if you're following along, we'll go into our library and we'll scroll down. And we'll first start out with that word power 60 file. With word power 60, with that logical next words, again, if I hit I and drink, I have the option of some pre-programmed, as I hit buttons. I have some drink-related vocabulary showing up right at the top of the screen, or I can choose to go to my drinks page and see more options for things to drink available there. Similarly, if I hit eat, I get my categories for foods up at the top, or I can go and see some of my favorite foods available right away and those categories for different foods. Maybe I want coffee to start my day. When I create my message, when I hit I want, you'll notice that changes have occurred on those buttons.
To play.
And maybe I want to play
Dominoes.
I have my message. I can either press the speech display bar to speak my sentence, or with that smart punctuation,
I want to play dominoes.
I can press that to make my message fully speak. To compare that, another commonly used word power file would be our word power 42 basic. The basic in the name lets us know that it has some more features built in to help generate our messages more efficiently. So if we have an emerging communicator, we know that maybe they are not building full sentences yet, and they need some help with navigation. So those logical next words are going to help get us to those pages. So maybe
fruit snack.
We want them to be able to say, I eat fruit snack. If they're not quite there yet, we know they might hit eat and quickly tell us
fruit snack.
And they didn't have to think about where they're going next. They can tell us that message. While here, we can start modeling for them.
I want
to eat fruit snack.
And
help develop their language and add those words as they grow. For those with the motor and visual needs, Word Power 20 simply was designed to have more large buttons on here, so 20 buttons per page. But it also allows us to go from the phrase generation.
I want to drink lemonade.
Or we can slowly start doing
I like to read.
And introduce them into those word power files with more core vocabulary available. But if their motor and vision needs dictate that they need those bigger buttons, then we have access to those. All right, we'll switch back over to the PowerPoint. So now that we've had a little bit experience with the vocabulary files, let's explore a little bit more. So as you noticed, either on your NovaChat or in your TouchChat app, you're able to open those different vocabulary files by going to the menu, tapping on Library, and then scrolling to find your desired vocabulary file, and then selecting Open in order to see that file. We're going to take some time to review and explore the vocabulary files by creating some practice sentences. We'll start with MultiChat 15 and start out with the initial sentences on your sheet, which includes some requests, some negating, some directing of actions, asking questions, requesting a recurrence, greeting, replaying past information, etc. So we are going to go back over to our DocCam. And I'm going to go back in. So I tap on Menu on my NovaChat and go back into the library. And we'll start with that MultiChat 15 file. We'll clear out our speech display bar. So if I wanted to request eating pretzels, the practice sentence has on our handout, I would go, I want to eat. And pretzels is probably going to be under snack foods. And there it is.
Pretzel.
If I want to work on that grammar, I do have the option of changing that to pretzels, and I can speak my message.
I want to eat pretzels.
Let's try another one. Maybe I want to talk about drinking juice. So I want to drink. And do I want apple juice or orange juice? I think today I'm going to ask for apple juice. I'm able to ask for that. Maybe I don't want to watch the news. So I'm able to tell you I don't want as well. Being able to tell somebody to stop. If you remember, we go under chat and under comments. I have stop there. If I want to try to expand that, I could come in and introduce core words. And maybe I can say stop that. I'll let you take some time to explore some of those other sentences. If there's any questions, you will notice with MultiChat 15, some of those more novel utterances might be a little harder to access or to formulate just because of the nature of the phrase-based setup. So being able to talk about something that I like.
Let me tell you what I think. I like it.
I have to go a little further in to be able to tell you I like something. Or maybe I want to tell you about books. I have some vocabulary that I can tell you about books I like. If I go into reading, I do have some pre-done phrases.
Reading, can I choose the book?
Or I can tell you,
turn the page.
Turn the page. And maybe at the end,
I don't like that story.
I can tell you what I think about it. So that's the MultiChat 15. Let's try some sentences with word power 20 simply next. So I go to the library and I scroll down to word power 20 simply. And again, some of those common requests. I want
to watch Discovery Channel.
I can tell you I want
to watch Discovery Channel.
And maybe I want to say
I like to play.
To play
Play-Doh.
Play-Doh. I want to direct some actions.
You.
And
Go. Bowling.
Tell you go bowling. Maybe I want to work on some questions.
Where is?
Maybe I want to know where is mom?
Mom.
I can start introducing some of those words. Or if you noticed,
where?
Where do you? Where is it?
Is it?
I'll just notice some of the punctuation here. So again,
where is it?
If we're working on creating correct sentences, we can add that question mark in and speak our sentence. Compare that with our word power 42 basic. On here, I can quickly tell you I don't
like to play blocks.
I don't like to play.
I don't like to play blocks.
Other things I can quickly tell you.
Go away.
Go away. And then you noticed with that logical next words, I got options right away here on the home page for telling people go away, go back, go for a walk.
For a walk.
And not having to leave that home page. So for modeling, this is also a great thing. You don't have to really think about where you're going next. If I want to just talk about it's my turn, I can do that here on the home page as well. I can want to go. And maybe we want to look at places. I want to go to
Chinese restaurant.
I want to go to a Chinese restaurant.
I want to go Chinese restaurant.
That sounds delicious today. Under the social, I can start with some of those fun phrases or start.
How are you?
Asking about how are you?
I love it.
I love it. Maybe introduce emojis.
I don't want to.
Start telling you how I feel about certain situations. I can also start talking about my day. So interacting and letting people know what you did during the day. My day was
good.
I can start with simple. My day was good. I could also tell you I ate candy. Or I talked to my friend. Or maybe I saw Grandpa. So I have that ability to keep a conversation going and talk about how my day was. And then let's compare that to finding those sentences available when we're on that word power 60 file. And you'll notice there is a word power 60 basic, so that's going to be similar to the 42 basic in how the logical next words work and the navigation available. But it just has 60 buttons instead of 42 buttons. With the 60, you'll notice We also have a few less icons, starting to work on some more of the sight words. But we can, again,
I
don't want to eat. I'm gonna go to my fruits and vegetables. What's something I don't want to eat?
Tomato.
I don't want to eat
Tomatoes.
tomatoes.
I don't want to eat tomatoes.
Nope, not something I want. I can tell you,
No.
still tell you to go away. I can tell you
Stop. Back.
really quickly on this first page, which is nice to be able to start to direct those things. I can tell you more. We can work on the manners by coming in.
Please.
More, please. And slowly develop those sentences. And again, with that social, I have a variety of things. So I can say,
hello. Hello, how are you?
And get that conversation going.
Goodbye.
We can have some fun with it.
Goodbye, see you later.
Or,
see you later, alligator. After-wall crocodile. Catch you later.
And those would definitely be spots where we would want to customize and add in age-appropriate phrases or things that are commonly said at home. So as we wrap up for the day, we want you to reflect on these files, and I'm going to switch back over to the slides. So what did you think? There's no right or wrong answer when it comes to these vocabulary files, but think about the advantages to MultiChat 15 when you're introducing that to a user. And then also consider those Word Power 20, Word Power 42 Basic, or Word Power 60 files, and how those might work for your clients as well. What were some of the limitations you noticed in each of the files? Were some of them harder for you to navigate or harder to find vocabulary? Did you notice any navigational patterns? Was it easier to find words, but harder to create sentences when we had less buttons? And what communicative functions did you notice that were supported in each of those, and what wasn't? Did you see growth potential? So as a child starts to grow their language, are they able to do that with that vocabulary file and not have to relearn a system, relearn the motor plan of where things are for that consistency? And did you have a preference? And why did you prefer a vocabulary file one over the other? Did you start to think about, is there one that might work better for one student and one that might be better for another? Let's also think about, what can I do if? So often I get a lot of these types of questions, like, what if I like some of the pages of more than one vocabulary file? Well, then you're able to import those pages across different vocabulary files. So you can take, maybe you really liked that news page from MultiChat 15. You could import that in to your Word Power files. You're able to adjust the layout if needed or keep it at that amount of buttons. And we have information on our Saltillo support page on how to import pages from files. There's also a video tutorial that would walk you through those steps. What if I think it's too many buttons for my client to use because of visually overwhelming, or they have visual impairment or acuity concerns? There's motor difficulties. Maybe you're thinking that cognitively it's too much, or maybe it's just too overwhelming for staff. So oftentimes I hear, oh, they're too young for that many words, or they're just going to play. So things to consider: if it's motor or vision that is impacting the ability to access the correct vocabulary with more buttons, we can look at key guards or touch guides to assist with those things. We can place colored borders around target buttons, so as we're introducing those vocabulary words, we can really draw attention to them by highlighting them with a border, and so it keys them in to find those words. We can hide buttons on the screen. Just know that hiding buttons is a page-by-page process, so hiding on certain pages does not carry over to another page per se. So we can hide to, again, slowly introduce. We definitely want to bring those words back as soon as possible so they have access to learn the different vocabulary. And then if that's still, a struggle for your user, consider using a vocabulary file with fewer buttons and see if that helps. What if none of these 4 files that we talked about today seems quite right for the client? Definitely go in and explore the other files that we have available across our NovaChat and TouchChat platforms. And the grid you see here in your handout does talk again about that primary message formulation. So is it a spelling file, sentence-based, phrase-based, nouns and core words available to you? And then just know that most of the files have a combination of those. The star indicates the primary method of the message formulation that is typically used in that file, whereas the check mark indicates that there's other additional methods of message formulation available in that file. All the files can be modified, and an AAC user may utilize a vocabulary file in a different manner than it was meant to be, as seen on here. This is just a guide. So as we wrap up for the day, just kind of a refresher, let's remember that we have that AAC system. It's only one component. We also have to keep in mind the AAC user, their needs, their strengths, and their need or deficits. Keep in mind communication partners and the training they need, the different environments that they're communicating in, and how these all interact over time. I'm happy to stay on and answer questions if you have them. We really thank you for attending today's session of Explore to Know More. And if you need more assistance after today, definitely reach out to your local Saltillo rep. You can use the saltillo.com/reps to locate your local rep if you're not connected with them. If you need operational or technical support with your NovaChat, reach out to us at the 1-800 number here or support@saltillo.com. And then check out all our supports at prcsaltillo.com and saltillo.com. Thanks everyone, and have a wonderful day.